Crowded city streets fill the screen. Men in dark coats and women in long dresses walk shoulder to shoulder, some wearing gauze masks tied behind their ears. Newspaper boys shout headlines about sickness and death. It looks unfamiliar at first until it doesn't. This is America in 1918, standing at the edge of a disaster it does not yet understand. Over 100 years later, the images feel hauntingly close to home. The influenza pandemic of 1918 arrived quietly and then exploded with terrifying speed. It struck near the end of World War I, when global movement of soldiers helped spread the virus across continents. Within months, the illness circled the globe. An estimated 500 million people, about 1/3 of the world's population at the time, were infected. In the United States alone, roughly 675,000 people died, more than all American combat deaths in World War I, World War II, and the Korean War combined. Cities became epicenters of fear. Hospitals overflowed. Doctors and nurses fell ill alongside their patients. Coffins ran out in Philadelphia. Bodies were stacked in homes and makeshift morgues. In October 1918, the deadliest month, nearly 195,000 Americans died in just 4 weeks. Life expectancy in the US dropped by more than 12 years almost overnight. The pandemic did not discriminate by wealth or class, but the poor suffered more intensely, crowded into small homes with little access to care. Public fear spread faster than facts, with limited medical knowledge and no vaccines. Authorities relied on non-pharmaceutical measures, closing schools, banning public gatherings, mandating masks. Some cities acted quickly, others delayed. Fearing economic damage or public backlash, the difference was deadly. Cities that imposed early restrictions saw significantly lower death rates than those that waited. Yet, even then compliance was uneven. Mass protests erupted. Newspapers debated whether the danger was exaggerated. Misinformation thrived in the absence of clear answers. After 1920, the pandemic faded almost as abruptly as it had appeared. The world was exhausted. Survivors wanted to move on. Governments dismantled emergency measures. Monuments were built for war heroes, but rarely for pandemic victims. The influenza disappeared from public memory, leaving behind few lessons formally preserved. The dead were mourned quietly, and history closed the chapter without fully reading it. Then, in 2020, history knocked again. When COVID-19 emerged, the world was far more advanced scientifically, technologically, and medically. Yet the early days felt eerily familiar. Crowded hospitals, mask shortages, conflicting government messages, fear mixed with denial. By the end of 2022, COVID-19 had caused over 1.1 million deaths in the United States and more than 6.9 million worldwide. According to global health estimates, once again, life expectancy dropped, particularly among vulnerable communities. Just as in 1918, responses varied. Some governments moved swiftly with lockdowns and testing. Others hesitated. Misinformation flooded social media, spreading faster than the virus itself. In both pandemics, political division shaped public behavior. In both, essential workers faced the highest risks. In both, inequality magnified suffering. Low-income families, minorities, and the elderly bore the heaviest burden. There were differences, of course. Vaccines arrived in record time. Medical knowledge saved millions. Technology allowed remote work, online learning, and instant global communication. Yet technology also amplified fear, rumor, and mistrust. Where newspapers once debated masks, social media now fueled conspiracy theories. The tools changed. Human behavior did not. Recovery after 1918 was uneven. Economies rebounded, but trauma lingered. Many survivors suffered long-term health effects, then called post-influenza weakness, now recognized as something similar to long COVID. Families who lost breadwinners slipped into poverty. Children grew up orphaned. Yet there was little public reckoning. The world chose forgetting over reflection. COVID-19 has followed a similar path. As restrictions eased, societies rushed toward normalcy. Memorials were rare. National moments of mourning were brief or absent. Millions carried grief quietly. The desire to forget competed with the need to remember. So the question remains, did we learn from 1918? The historical record shows that early intervention saves lives. Clear, communication matters. Trust between governments and citizens is crucial. Inequality turns health crises into social disasters. These lessons were written in the past but not fully absorbed. The pandemic of 1918 was not just a medical failure. It was a failure of memory. Pandemics expose the fault lines of society. They reveal who is protected and who is expendable. They challenge the idea that progress alone guarantees safety. A century apart, both the influenza of 1918 and COVID-19 delivered the same message. Preparedness is not only scientific, but social and moral. As the images fade, crowded streets and black and white dissolving into modern city. Skype's similarities linger. Masks change. Headlines change. The fear feels the same. The past is not distant. It is some era. The real lesson of 1918 is not that pandemics happen, but that forgetting them makes the next one deadlier. The question is no longer whether we are capable of learning from history. It is whether we are willing to remember it when the danger fades.